Thank you, everyone. It's a lovely evening. So I thought that before we start reading today, I will actually create the backdrop of why we are here. I know we've been doing these sessions for some time with My Good School, and we intend to build this Friday session with the art of thought, art of thinking. And as we go along, we will bring along an artist, we will bring around thinkers, we'll bring around people who will help you think why you are here. And the first lesson why we are here is working with humanness. So today I'll read a page about working with humanness. I'm not saying humanness. Look at the word I've used, humanness. Someone said, there is something I have forgotten. There is one thing in the world that should not be forgotten. You may forget everything except that one thing, without there being any cause for concern. If you remember everything else but forget that one thing, you will have accomplished nothing. It would be as if a king sent you to a village on a specific mission. If you went and performed 100 other tasks but neglected to accomplish that task for which you were sent, it would be as though you had done nothing. The human being, therefore, has come into the world for a specific purpose and aim. If one does not fulfill that purpose, one has done nothing. We propose the faith unto the heavens and the earth and the mountains, and they refuse to undertake it and were afraid of it. But the human being undertook it, and yet truly he was unjust to himself and foolish. This is a quote from Quran 33:72 and translated by Fi Ma Fi. I read this today for a reason, to tell you that you are here for a reason. And it really delights me to see that we have such beautiful people here today for this session for a reason. And you understand why you are here as humans. I will read one more passage here. Your worth. Now that's the next part. You know the value of every article of merchandise. But if you don't know the value of your own soul, it's all foolish. You have come to know the fortunate and the inauspicious stars, but you don't know whether you yourself are fortunate or unlucky. This is the essence of all sciences, that you should know who you will be when the day of reckoning arrives. So who will you be? You will be shaping the destiny of people, and you definitely are the learning leader. So today we will do this chapter from My Good School, and the chapter is Learning Leader. I just thought I'd share the screen, and I hope it's visible to everyone. It just becomes easier like this. I'm quite sure instead of you holding the book, if you see it on the screen, you find it easier. Are we all okay with the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Lovely.
Yes, sir.
So what is the role of a principal in this? Think. You will come across thoughts administrator, you will come across thought manager, you will come across thoughts as academic head. But perhaps it's important for you to reflect. Principal is the chief learning leader. And unfortunately, today's procedures and processes don't let him be that, let her be that. And I'm sure some of you who are absolutely principal here understand what I'm getting at. No matter how much you would like to focus on leading learning, processes have tied you up that sometimes you can't do that. Should the principal be the chief executive officer with due qualification and degrees? So when you look at a corporate or a company or a business, you create the position of a chief executive officer. So if you look at the school, the principal is ideally like the chief executive officer. Are owner-driven schools, which look at the school purely as a business enterprise, better than schools run by charities? This is a question which comes very often. Such questions always make us think, and we do debate this matter often. Many good schools are owner-driven, and the owners may not have the qualifications required to be the principal. What is most important, however, is that the principal or the head of the school should be the chief learning leader. Learning is the act of acquiring new or modifying and reinforcing existing knowledge, behaviors, skills, values, or preferences, and may involve synthesizing different types of information. The ability to learn is possessed by humans, animals, and some machines. I'm sure today you talk of so much of machine learning and LLMs, and you'll talk of AIs. So machines are also getting capable of learning more and more. Perhaps machines are learning more than us in today's date. Progress over time tends to follow learning curves. Learning is not compulsory, it is contextual. It does not happen all at once, but builds upon and is shaped by what we already know. Think of it. Learning is not compulsory. You are here purely for the love of it. It is contextual. So it refers to your existing position, your existing environment, your existing job, your existing family. It's contextual to that. It does not happen all at once, but builds upon and is shaped by what we already know. So big by big, step by step, that's how learning goes. And that's why we call ourselves Learning Forward Foundation. To that end, learning may be viewed as a process rather than a collection of factual and procedural knowledge. The learning institution is always in evolution and is able to understand the needs of the pupils and deliver to the happiness of all stakeholders. Now, this is the beauty of a teacher. What is imperative is that the chief learning leader must understand that knowledge is not just information and acquiring of skills, but a road to infinite possibility. And its growth alone is the single most need for an evolving mind. For the head to be held high and true freedom to be experienced, the learning institution must ensure that the CLL must be a person who leads by example. So reflect. I'm sure each one of you present today is a chief learning leader. I'm sure each one of you has the capacity to be the change maker. Simply having a degree or certificate is not enough. Learning is a never-ending process, and it is the only way to build schools that learn. In schools that learn, Peter Senge argues that teachers, administrators, and other members of school communities must learn how to build their own capacity. That is, they must develop the capacity to learn. From Senge's perspective, real improvement will only occur if the people responsible for implementation design the change themselves. If it is becoming clear that schools can be recreated, made vital, and sustainably renewed, not by fiat or command, and not by regulation, but by taking the learning orientation. There's a nice word here, fiat. So reflect what fiat is. It's like a diktat. Command. You can't command people to learn. The principal or CLL must be able to motivate, coach, inspire, teach, mentor, be a visionary, ensure teamwork, and above all, lead by example. Today, this is the challenge we face in society. Where are the mentors for so many of us? And this is a real big challenge. So leading by example is what your duty is. So when I read that quote from Rumi's book earlier, this is what I was referring to. You are here to lead by example. You may do anything, but if you don't do that, then perhaps nothing you have done matters. Education is simply building your own capacity. So education is not what you are doing for children or what you're doing at your school. It's building your own capacity. This must be the goal for each individual, including the chief learning leader. Senge makes a powerful argument regarding the need for a systems approach and learning orientation by introducing schools that learn with a historical perspective on educational systems. We will pick up this book sometime at later stage. Meenakshi, note this down and just remind me. We will get hold of schools that learn,
Okay,
and
sir.
maybe we will bring it into our session after we finish My Good School. It's a very interesting book.
Okay, sir. I'll note it down.
Just note it down that schools that learn, we will try and pick it up. I read this book about 20 years back, and it's a very fabulous book. If you reflect now, at this time of the year also, or at this time of the world is in, the institutions which are progressing are the ones which are learning centered, not ones which are focusing on infrastructure. And if you look at India and you look at America on two ends of the world, the amount of research and thinking that goes in America, the amount of money they spend in America, almost 13% of their GDP on learning and research. We don't even spend 3%. And then there's so many of us, our 3% also becomes inconsequential. So schools that learn with a historical perspective and educational system. So we will get this book and read after this. Specifically, in details, industrial age assumptions about both learning that children are deficient and schools should fix them, that learning is strictly an intellectual enterprise, that everyone should learn in the same way, that classroom learning is distinctly different than that occurring outside school, and that some kids are smart while others are not. The schools are run by specialists who maintain control. Knowledge is inherently fragmented. Schools teach some kind of objective truth, and learning is primarily individualistic, and competition accelerates learning. So we keep talking of customized learning. We keep talking of ensuring the personal and social development of every child. So learning is primarily individualistic. Now, this is an important part of learning. And competition accelerates learning. So you compete with yourself. That's the competition it is referring to. So you get into a cycle of learning. These assumptions about learning and the nature and purpose of schools reflect deeply embedded cultural beliefs that must be considered, and in many cases, directly confronted, if schools are to develop the learning orientation necessary for improvement. The chief learning leader must set the tone for the growth and development of a dynamic school. The world today offers great opportunity to learn and grow. Information flow is no more hierarchical, and knowledge today is in free flow mode. In a world without barriers, working to reach new frontiers in technology and learning, there really is no way that the school can do without a chief learning leader. Be it the principal or the owner, they will only, sorry about this, flipping pages is a little bit of challenge. Be it the principal or the owner, they will only succeed if they work like a chief learning leader. The business world CEO may have a KRA. KRA stands for Key Result Areas. Model and look at every outcome as a measure, and this will have its good limitation in the working of a good school. So now you look at what the KRAs of a school are, and often we sit down and mark the KRAs of a school. KRAs are key result areas. The chief learning leader will have priorities and will understand that the learning institution generates wealth, and that is far more than the simple surplus in income and expense. And it is not the top line alone that matters. Education, thus, is not a commodity, but an inestimable wealth. I will repeat this sentence. Education, thus, is not a commodity, but an inestimable wealth. So if you look at the current schooling system, you sell a ticket, you bring a child to school, you give him something, you have commoditized education. It's not that. The understanding of infinestimals was a major roadblock, and today the mathematical world has evolved, and we have begun to look at the creative infinity mind. The wisdom and the ability to be a learner is all that a chief learning leader needs to be. Good governance and active participation of all stakeholders in the school, the management, the teachers, the community, the students, and the head is very much needed to build a learning organization. The role of the learning leader is indeed a complex one, and no job description is perfect for the head of the school. The leader must not be one decorated with a degree alone. It is imperative the leader must lead as the role so demands. Lead by example for the teachers, the students, and the community. Now, this is an important part. It is imperative the leader must lead as the role so demands. Lead by example for the teachers, the students, and the community. Meenakshi,
Yes,
you are
sir.
you are in a position, and I think this is your key role.
Right, sir. Yeah, it is. It is
Your
actually.
yeah, your decoration and degree has no meaning today.
Right.
Lead by example for teachers, the students, and the community. So there are three people. It's not just the teachers, the students and the community looks up to you. So
Actually, sir, I was put into this position even while I was a teacher in Hopetown. Mrs. Ramamurthy once told me that teachers are supposed to be leading by example. Okay, you know, for all intents and purposes, we have to be an epitome of virtues. Okay, at least before this, in the school itself, and I think that in a way affected me to a great extent. So I realized that that was a fact, that in front of the community, in front of the students, in front of other teachers, all the people working there, we have to be full of virtues and lead by example.
absolutely,
So
you
that is how.
brought in the element of virtues, and this thing.
No, element virtues is not the only thing, but that is, I mean, that's how she put it, and then I sort of thought about other things and then added those to it.
So
So reading, speaking
that's
properly.
exactly why this morning, this evening, I started with working with humanness.
Yeah,
And I read about, I'll reread that.
yeah,
If one does not fulfill the purpose, one has done nothing. So your purpose is to be an, in loose parlance, influencer. So I'm not sure we use the word influencer in positive tone, but as a mentor, as a coach, as a role model, that's the role of a teacher. And the principal is really a stepped up teacher and not beyond that. The chief learning leader has to create an environment. Now, when I'm referring to a learning leader, I'm not just referring to a figurative principle of a school. I'm referring to each one of you who has the potential to be a leader. In the corporate world, a chief learning officer is the highest corporate rank officer in charge of learning management. The chief learning officer can be experts in corporate and personal training with degrees in education, instructional design, business, or similar fields. The chief learning leader, as we describe the head of a school, is at an even higher pedestal than the chief learning officer. The chief learning leader, beyond being a person well versed in the field, must have knowledge of administration and be a good manager too. Now, if you're looking up to become a principal, which each of you should be and should aspire to, here is a role which Derek Meader says, what is the role of a principal? And why we are reading to you the role of a principal and why I chose this chapter today, because I see such potential in every one of you. And yes, a school can have only one principal, but every teacher can lead in principle. So I'm using the word in a different way. And that's why this message to you. The role of the principal covers many different areas, including leadership, teacher evaluation, student discipline, and many others. Being an effective principal is hard work and is also time consuming. A good principal is balanced within all their roles and works hard to ensure that they're doing what they feel is best for all constituents involved. So he's repeating that constituents involved. A school principal is the primary leader in a school building. A good leader always leads by example. So there's repetition of lead by example. The principal should be positive, enthusiastic, have their hand in the day-to-day activities of the school, and listen to what their constituents are saying. Again, we go back to the humanness element. An effective leader is available to teachers, staff members, parents, students, and community members. Good leaders stay calm in difficult situations, think before they act, and put the needs of the school before themselves. An effective leader steps up to fill in holes as needed, even if it isn't a part of their daily routine. So when you play a game or you play a match, sometimes the back end of football has to become a center forward. A goalkeeper may end up scoring a goal for the team if required, and someone else may manage the goal. So that's how a team works. So the chief learning leader may end up sometimes even in a classroom. I have an example. I find that if a principal who stays in the office confines, in most parlance and most experiences, does not make much success of the school. But a principal who's always on his or her feet and all over the school is the one who does far better. Effective leadership is taking along with you all stakeholders of the school. The key challenge for the chief learning leader is to be able to lead as per the vision of the school, ensure that there is good governance and quality delivery of education at the school. A large part of any school principal's job is to handle student discipline. Most principals are also responsible for evaluating their teachers' performances, follow district state guidelines. Developing, implementing, and evaluating the programs within the school is another large part of a school principal's role. A principal should review, remove, rewrite, or write policies and procedures every year as needed. So your role is dynamic. Whether you're a principal or a teacher, you have to keep reviewing and doing things as well as be flexible to learn. Having an effective student handbook can improve the quality of education the students receive. It can also make a principal's job a little easier. The principal's role is to make sure students, teachers, and parents know that these policies and procedures are, and to hold each individual accountable to following them. Having good relations with parents and community members can benefit the principal in a variety of areas. If you have built trusting relationships with a parent whose child has a discipline issue, then it makes it easier to deal with the situation if the parent supports the school and your decision. The same holds true for the community. Building relationships with individuals and businesses in the community can help your school tremendously. Benefits include donations, personal time, and overall positive support for your school. It is a vital part of any principal's job to nurture the relationship with parents and community. Learning is a ladder with countless number of steps that we must keep climbing, and this is the most essential for the chief learning leader. Set higher standards for yourself, and then alone you will be able to lead schools that learn. So we will look at schools that learn. So when we talked of the principal as a learning leader, it automatically follows, where else do you see an element of leadership in the school? So I thought the subsequent chapter where say a student is also a leader. So let's read this small chapter. It's one more chapter. We will read that. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Student leader, mentor or monitor. It is a major challenge for the class teacher to find the best monitor for the class. One who can help discipline the class, lead the class, and be the role model. We really need to have a place, the leader who can inspire, must value his position and commit to be disciplined. Monitors are often high handed, are unable to live up to the position of responsibility and be impartial in their delivery. I'm sure you find that. The authority of the teacher may not be sufficient deterrent power at hand with the class monitor. We need an opinion maker, a leader, an individual best suited for being a mentor in place of a monitor. So in the previous chapter, we are looking at the principal as a mentor. Here we are looking at the student you choose in your class as a mentor. So look for a mentor and not a monitor. That's the whole message. When the cat's away, the mice are out to play. This is an old adage. This often happens when a class teacher steps out of the classroom and young people are left in themselves for a while. In such situations, it is the monitor who admonishes, cautions, or reminds his or her classmates, especially with respect to matters of conduct. A monitor is also defined as a pupil who assists a teacher in routine duties. A wise and trusted counselor, a teacher, is a mentor. Please mute your mic, please. Shivani, please go on mute. Yeah, I'll go back here. A monitor is also defined as a pupil who assists a teacher in routine duties. A wise and trusted counselor or teacher is a mentor. It is the mentor who is best suited to lead us and not the monitor who is there to only watch. So when you appoint, don't just have a guard as a monitor. Have someone who can be a good mentor. Class monitors have the rights and duties to assist the class and subject teachers to maintain a good order in their own classrooms. Monitors, as supervisors, are required to lead by example. So here again, lead by example, by modeling, mentoring, and influencing, such that their classmates stay ethically robust in their work. Look at this sentence. So when you appoint someone, don't just look at someone with authority, someone who's tall and broad and has a baritone voice and will shake up the whole class. No, that may not work as a good mentor or a monitor for your class. It's important such that the classmates stay ethically robust in their work, fostering practice, wisdom, and ethical maturity. We have used the word ethical here. Ethical goes back to what Meenakshi also mentioned about virtues. So look what we are talking. We are not talking about teaching virtues, but practicing virtues. At times, supervisors may also be working with people who struggle in this regard. Indeed, supervisors may also suggest themselves. Mentoring today has even become a profession. Most of us look up to a guru, a leader who will leave footsteps on the sand for us as margdarshan. Mentoring is a powerful personal development and empowerment tool. It is an effective way of helping people to progress in their careers and is becoming increasingly popular as its potential is realized. A mentor may be a peer. Now we are looking at another dynamic of a mentor. A mentor may be a peer, your friend or someone, if you look at horizontally, that could be your mentor. When we think of our school days when we think of our days at school, we will find some individual who really held our hand and did more than just a monitor could do in a class. In school, often students help each other to sail through many tough times, from classwork and assignments to emotional support. The role of a peer as a mentor is very important. A monitor must be a mentor. His circle of influence must be beyond a small group. for then alone the class will look up to the student leader. Thank you so much. This was all we had planned here. I can still go ahead and actually help you complete this. So as we have said that a monitor has to be a mentor, I will basically now explain to you what a monitor in a class should do. So this particular chapter can actually form a guideline for you to use when we appoint students in authority in school, students who can assist you and who can offer the best of peer learning. Whom should you choose to lead your class? That's the question. Having the best set of prefects in a school or putting in place a school council is always a major task in every calendar year for the school staff. I'm sure you'll find this challenge. How to find a monitor who can be a mentor? We have a list of attributes. So we've actually created a list for you for that. This isn't exhaustive, but it will help you make your own list of attributes. Based on your list, you need to find the best individual to be the leader of the class, group, or house, wherever you need mentoring. First, challenge is peer pressure. Will the person you choose bow down to peer pressure? And that's very difficult. A young person will first succumb to peer pressure from friends and individuals he or she has in the circle of friends and well-wishers. This is a big challenge. A test and even the single most issue in terms of delivering discipline and leadership in class. Value system. It is the key to assess an individual's integrity and ability to be valued. Physical strength. It may look as a way of to have delivery with brute force. This is often not good to find the best person to supervise. Excellence in study. Overachievers in academics are often too committed to their cause and will not really want to be the leader you need. Individual with skill. Potential leaders, they may, however, sometimes be perceived as a bit eccentric. Good in sport. This could be a quality of a team builder. The individual's lack of performance in the class may not make them the best mentor. Often, those who participate in sports have a great following and are able to drum up a band of young cheerleaders. Great at communication, such an individual will be a motivator, but not always a true deliverer. One who tries to appease the teacher. This individual may often be referred to as one who appeases for selfish needs and is not appreciated much by peers. Child or a person of influence. Child of a person of influence. So often, this child becomes the monitor. Such an individual often gets to be a monitor, but may not be the best choice as a mentor. Compassionate and loving. Individuals who make the best mentors and great monitors too, for they are able to win friends and influence people. Meenakshi, did this make you think?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Because see, unless and until you are able to empathize with your mates and also the teachers, okay, it's not just one way. You cannot become a great mentor. Empathizing is very important. So being compassionate and loving is important for a good mentor.
If you see today's session, we talked of a broad chief learning leader. And chief learning leader, we talked of the principal, we talked of the teacher, and we're talking of a student. So today's lesson from My Good School is all about how do you spot the leadership? How do you find your influencer? How do you find a person who is compassionate and loving? I'll give you an example. At the Willem School, they have a trophy for, the trophy for love and compassion, which they give every year. So I thought this is a very interesting example to mention here. The challenges above and the need to develop students as good leaders is what we really need to look at. Mentor or monitor, it is the real leader who can deliver and make the true difference in leading by compulsion or leading by example. The student leader must be a mentor, not simply the one who will be a monitor or minds a class. We need to look at the attributes of good student leadership to be able to find the best mentor for the class, instead of appointing a class monitor to merely supervise and be the Pied Piper. So essential qualities of a school leader, which are subsequent to what we have done. Integrity. Leaders must be true to themselves. Leaders who have consistently with the value system inspired trust in followers and seen as honest. Leaders need to know themselves well to be true to their values as well as to create a vision for their group. This is important. Autonomy. So first was integrity, second is autonomy. Leaders must be self-directed, individuals who can act without an authoritative figure telling them what to do. Each step of the way can make the decision necessary to move their group along with their goals. Leaders need to see options, make choices, and solve problems in order to direct themselves and others. Group dynamics. So first was integrity, second autonomy, third is group dynamics. Leaders must involve group members, those who assign tasks appropriately to followers and incorporate group members' ideas into the group vision. Recognize that they cannot be leaders without followers. Human relations. Leaders must use the human touch. We are back to the same point of humanness. Leaders must use the human touch. Individuals can create an organizational environment and all participants feel welcome, respected, and valued. So every individual must be valued. Are exercising the power well, can maintain good membership and energy and work well. Positioning. Leaders must see the big picture. Leaders need to know which tasks require the help of those outside than their own. So think of others first. And finally, task effectiveness. Leaders must get the job done. Competent leaders match tasks to followers' abilities and motivations, provide training and understand time management. These may seem very hard to find in the average student and as much a challenge for the average teacher to spot. Task delivery is undoubtedly the key point in finding the right person for the right assignment. Prefects and class monitors as mentors are members of the student body who have to be chosen as good role models for others and are willing to help make the school a safer place too. They play a very important role in taking ahead the mission of the school. So that's all we read today. Now, talking of safer place, we have recently added a partner to a Good School Alliance. Our partner's name is Right Side Story. So I would suggest that if you want us to help you, there is a very interesting news journal which we publish. So what we have done today and what we have read today will feature next week in GSI journal. So GSI stands for Good Schools of India. The issue of the Good Schools of India journal comes out on Wednesday. You can go to the website gsi.in and subscribe. So let's have a look at last week's weekly. So last week we had so much action. This week we will not have so much news. We had a visit by one of our partners, the Old Boys Society of the Doon School, to the Arthur Foot Academy School for the Joy of Giving project. We had two new partners to welcome. I've just mentioned the Right Side Story and the Taurian World School. Then, if you go beyond that in the weekly, it features whatever we have done in a week, whether it is the Thoughtful Thursday session. Last week, we did Reading My Good School. So to help you and the teachers who are not able to take the session, it's better you sign up for the weekly, you get it on Wednesday, and whenever you get time, you can replay the chapter, you can read. So this particular session of today will come to you in the weekly in next Wednesday. We will not share much beyond that. Yes, I will add a link or two for reading if you need. I will update the reading sheet. I will share the link of the chapters we have read. I will also add the links on the blog where these chapters come from. So the master class on Saturday that happens, you will feature part of it and you will give you a link to the video. And finally, some new books which came last week, we have mentioned here. We've also talked about the Sunday school in the weekly, what we do on Sundays. And finally, we have mentioned about the Learning Forward retreat. So next weekly won't be so long, but I suggest you subscribe to this weekly. This will be your single most place to read. And why we put the weekly together for reading, reflection, and relationship building. So even if you can't attend any of these sessions, if this weekly reaches you Wednesday, you have the whole week to read it. please read it. The floor is open to anyone. Please come and talk. I will now stop screen share. I don't have anything much. Anyone in the participants who have a question, I'm happy to answer. Vidyutama, thank you. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you made it to this session.
Thank you, sir. It was a very interesting session.
Yeah, so Vidyutama, now in principle, every Friday I'll have this session. So then it'll become
Okay.
easy for you to plan.
Okay.
So you can just share this session registration with your teachers in your school.
Okay.
So what we struggled a lot to get the right time to do this. And
Okay.
after last 3-4 years, we found that this half an hour, 40 minutes at 5:30 p.m. is the best time we found universally. And
Yes, sir.
and in our Saturday sessions, we have 800 registrations. Last Saturday, we had over 300 join. In our
Okay.
in our Thursday session, we have only space for 100. We had 100 to turn up the other day. So what we are
Okay.
finding is this 5:30 is the best time. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
universal time. And 5:30 also helps you if you're not in India.
Yes. Yes, definitely, sir.
And as we have audience even beyond India, so I thought maybe 5:30 should be our universal learning time. So do share
Yes, it's
with
it's
Ritu ma'am.
suitable for
Yeah.
most of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Do share. See, my whole focus is what? Let's sit down for half an hour and read. As simple as that.
Yes.
And if you reflect, where do you get that half an hour to read in the week? And we give you this option. We give you this option only on Friday to read, because what happens on Thursday? It's poetry and music. The reading
Yes,
is
sir.
only on Friday. And Saturday is a master class, which we devote
Okay.
to professional learning. So in that, we
Okay.
pick up a professional book. We won't pick up a book which will connect to your requirements as a teacher in a class like the My Good School book. So what will happen
Okay.
on Friday next? We will also start doing art on Friday, because
Okay.
teachers need reading, writing, and art to be good teachers. So we're looking at the basics of becoming a teacher.
Okay, sir.
Does that help?
Yes, sir, definitely. So I'll put it forward with my teachers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And it's
yeah,
purely
so
voluntary. I mean, it doesn't matter if you can't come every Friday, because we will anyway share the weekly. So you sign up for the weekly, there are 1,500 people who have signed up for the weekly, which means people
okay.
are finding these sessions useful. So
Mm-hmm.
you can share the link of gsi.in, people can sign up. So even if you miss the session, you will have everything in the weekly to read.
Okay.
Yeah. Any
So
question?
that's even more helpful.
Yeah. So we have also learned slowly. Sorry, it took us so while to connect with you or have you here, but I'm glad we finally did make it.
Yes, sir. No, it's this thing because we also being in the learning stages of school, so we are really busy with a lot of activities and things coming up. So maybe we
That's
are
very
also
kind of.
sorry that teachers are not able to join
No,
so
no, it's okay.
frequently.
We're all busy, but please don't understand, if you don't reflect, busy has no meaning. And we are all
Yes,
here to reflect. And these sessions
yes,
will help you reflect.
yes, definitely, sir. So
Thank
I'll
you.
put it forward
Vinita,
with my teachers.
Shivani,
Thank
Ruchika,
you, sir.
Prabpreet, all the teachers from JDS who came and joined us today. You joined us despite Suman sending a message, Aaj Holi hai. But I think every day is holy, Holy. So that's why I think it's more important. Let's be holy to every day. Let's be holy to ourselves. Let the humanness in you shine. And please keep reading. That's all we are here for. So bless you all. Thank you for being here. And I'm sure we didn't take too much time. Have a great evening. There's lots to do for you all. Best of luck. See you same time, 5:30 p.m. every Friday.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
this.
Bye-bye.
Bye.